I'm going to talk about when I was 11 years old. My friend Lori and I really wanted our own money. We were sick of asking our parents for money, and we needed to buy Doritos and pizza on our own. So the problem with this was that all the older girls in the neighborhood had the babysitting jobs, and that's basically what we could do, was babysit. So we sort of started like looking at the outskirts of the town and seeing, and finally a new family moved in, so we pounced on them. And we were like, we're your babysitters. And we took a meeting with them. Her name was they were the McKelveys, so Mrs. McKelvey took us in, and she was kind of like, I don't know, 11 years old, but we said, look, there's two of us, and you're paying us for one person, and we're each 11, so that equals a 22-year-old. And that would work for an 11-year-old, but it also worked for Mrs. McKelvey because we got the job. And so we had to go over at 4 in the afternoon, and we stayed until about midnight, and she also cooked us a meal. And they were going to go out to the racetrack where Mr. McKelvey worked on the pit crew, and Mrs. McKelvey would sit in the stands in like a white velvet outfit. Wait, velvet? No, satin. Velvet. And like a white cowboy hat, and I guess cheer them on. So Lori and I, we were only 11, and we were watching a 9-year-old boy, a 6-year-old girl, and an infant, which is crazy. So I actually I never had a younger brother, so this was like bliss for me because we fought all the time and like punching each other and stuff. It was so great. And Lori was like the babysitter. She was like the mother, so she would get us all together. She would change all the diapers and stuff, and I would just be like one of the kids. And then, but there were some problems, okay? First of all, the food that they made for us was just so bad. It was disgusting. So we had to like call our parents and be like, can you get us a pizza? And then they'd come over and bring the pizza, and then we had to pretend we ate some of the food and throw it away. But it was really gross, so we just couldn't eat it. And then also the kids, we fought. There were problems there. I would go into them more, but I have a time limit. And the biggest problem was that the TV didn't work very well. So like we wanted to watch The Love Boat. It was very important on a Saturday night, but it would get all staticky and cut out, so you wouldn't be able to know like who was on this boat. I don't know. So we would like have to find our own entertainment, you know? And so what was great, oh God, I forgot to say the theme. Well, because we got the babysitting job, so we hit the big time. Anyway, I'll circle back to that. But what was so great about the McKelveys' house was that they had a lot of magazines lining the living room, so there was some entertainment there. And the magazine, it was like, you know, a set all the way around, like 150 magazines. And it was called From Sex to 60, which I'm thinking about this now. I have no idea what that title really means, but it was a porno magazine, but it was in little cartoons. So there was just like boobies and butts and penises, and everybody was like chasing each other around with their hands out like this, and like sweat coming from them and stuff. And for me, this was great because I was 11 and I was just coming off my Mad Magazine, you know, phase, and now I'm moving into like, oh, well, this is just more cartoons. And so I would just like sit down. I became like like the best babysitter. Like before she had to like rein me in, but now I was just like, what do you want to do to get these kids to bed? And I would like, you know, let's eat, I'll change a diaper, let's put them to bed. I'd be as good as gold. And then finally they're in bed, and now I just get to like look at these magazines, and I just sit there in like a horny haze, like I don't know what's happening here, but I'm really having a good time. And then, you know, right before they'd come home, it would be like, okay, Betsy, they're going to come home. You have to put the magazines down. And so, okay, I put the magazines down. And then like, oh, I can't wait to go back the next time and find out more. Well, sometimes you think you want to know more, but actually you don't, because I made it through all the magazines, and then I was going to circle back around, but then something told me to open up this cupboard in the McKelveys' living room, and there were photo albums in there, and I thought, well, I'll just look, because I'm sick of those magazines for a couple minutes. But it turns out that what was happening in the magazines, the McKelveys were reenacting on their own there, and they took photos. So now we discovered all these photos, like, oh, there's Mrs. McKelvey and Mr. McKelvey, with the running around like this, and the strange, configurations. And we didn't know at first, but then finally it was like, oh my God, she's licking it. So we did pretty much what any, self-respecting. Is that the bell or just a string?
That's the bell.
Oh, okay. So I'm done?
No, wrap it up.
So we called the rest of the kids in the neighborhood and said, come over here now, because we have something to show you. And so this new family basically was outed to everybody, although I don't think they ever found out, but all the guys took pot shots at Mr. McKelvey's penis. We just basically talked about them and judged them like they were the worst people in the world, even though I had just been reading their ridiculous magazines. So I had no room to judge. The theme was the big time, and I guess that sometimes you think you've hit the big time, and you never really know what the consequences of that are. Thank you.